Well, good evening, folks, and also good morning to the rest of the globe. This is another live stream, streaming episode here on your Plus Smorgasbord. We're doing a Thursday night, Thursday live stream because I had to reschedule our live stream yesterday. My schedule was just too busy, we had to see a friend at his birthday celebration. So we're doing this one-off Thursday edition, and next week we'll be back to our regular schedule for now, which is Wednesdays, with our usual topic of the resource-based economy by the Venus Project, with our friend from the Venus Project, Georgia, Clifton Barnes. While we were waiting for him to join us, just a quick update on our ongoing fundraiser for our friend Atik Menandaya and her family in Batangas. We plan on gifting them with a second-hand fishing boat by the end of the year, in December. Sort of a Christmas gift, or just a gift. But we've been trying to do that for the past few years. But in the at the height of the pandemic, our proceeds, or the funds from the donations, had to be released to the family due to their immediate needs. And now, so far, we have 4,500 pesos worth of donations, and we're still very far from our target of around 18 to 20,000, and we need more donations, of course. We're nearing the end of July, then there's just August, September, October, November, 5 more months to meet the target. We're also planning on meeting the family in Batangas pretty soon. I haven't talked to Ate Clement yet. It's been a few months already since I last spoke with her on Messenger. But I'll talk to her again soon to give her some updates, and also to ask for some updates on her side from from their family to discuss more details on in terms of, you know, the fishing boat, if there's somebody who's planning on selling a fishing boat to them, maybe, and all that stuff. And of course, we're doing second Friday fundraisers at the Conspiracy Garden Cafe along Visayas Avenue. And on the fourth Fridays, we're doing a fundraiser at Z Compound along Madinga Street, Teachers Village. You know, the artists need venues like this, or like these two venues for self-expression and whatever. So while we're doing that, we also try to help a little bit, families like that of addict and I need, while at the same time, of course, we're supporting these establishments. So I think it's all money well spent, but we're kind of slow in terms of meeting our targets. Well, drinks and food are also quite expensive these days, and it seems that there's very little left for donations and all that, and everybody has their own financial concerns to deal with, but so far so good. Everybody is doing their best to contribute in whatever way, right, to help. Let me just check on my friends here. So while we were waiting for my friend Clifton, another friend just messaged me about justice, and she posed a question. It goes something like, how is it that a person inclined scientifically has a sort of a different take on justice, or the sense of justice is that person supposedly scientifically inclined, kind of skewed. Well, first of all, their injustice, as it were, is, cannot be as unscientific as it can be, because the scientific view on this is, on morality and stuff like that, it should be that there's neither good nor bad in nature. There are only reactions to stimuli. So then it's just a matter of, what kind of results or consequences you'd like to have. You'd like to face as as an outcome, as a norm, or as a music to dance to. But so we have this context of the present society, and where the law of the land is the established standard, and supposedly the religious values of public servants or legislators or the justice system should be they should be separate entities. Your sense of morality, well, it's just difficult. That's what I'm saying. It's there's supposed to be a set of human rights as the basis of our standard of behavior, or the basis for the laws of the land. And human rights are not entirely scientific. Because you cannot impose these laws, or rules that say do not kill, do not steal, etc., etc., do not rape, and whatever. When you have the current conditions, the physical attributes of or the environment, simply put, as that guarantees and warrants these scenarios or eventualities, like murder or suicide or mental illness, famine, corruption. You cannot just say don't be corrupt. don't steal from the government's coffers and all. Because people are just behaving accordingly. Their behavior is just a reflection of their environment and culture. And so, when you speak about sense of justice, or idea of justice, is the term justice is just a term that's relevant to the current unscientific context of the global society in general is just so unscientific in terms of their knowledge or understanding of human behavior. And there's no such thing as human nature, contrary to what people believe or understand it to be. So, sense of justice is just an idea, a concept, or a phenomenon that makes sense in the current society. But and so it's hard in the current society. It's hard to be really scientific when you talk about the law and what it encompasses, what it advocates, what it holds. It's just, it misses the point. It cannot be as remote. I mean, as unscientific than it is. It can be more unscientific than it is. I mean, sense of justice only makes sense to unscientific people, even though many people claim to be scientific or scientists. They're missing the point. In the first place, there shouldn't be this kind of justice, because a scientific society or mindset cannot really be just. But people in their ignorance think they are just, they are moral, they are, of course. And we understand that. So to really get to the core of things, people need real or true real scientific education or re-education. Okay, let me just share the link of this live stream now before we go any further. So this is really why um, we if we stayed or lingered in the present system, or people's idea of democracy and freedom and justice, we just encounter the same or worse versions of the same problems over and over, because at best we only get to deal with the symptoms of underlying problems in people's mindset, worldview. It's hard to undo this this mode of thinking in people, their upbringing, their backgrounds. It's hard to attain the very much needed cerebral enema. We need to purge our minds of our tendencies, our so-called education. Because what we need really is to be able to think out of the box, and we cannot do that if we consume the same sort of information emanating from or resulting from the same kind of mindset or worldview that made this messy world possible. We need to elevate our cognitive ability, or we need to consume an antithetical set of information, or education that's really scientific, or more scientific than what we've been fed all these years. Okay, I'm still trying to share the link of the live stream. Okay. I think our friend Clifton is ready to join us in a few minutes. And he's here. Hello, Cliff. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, our friend Clifton has to connect his speaker.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. Yep. How's it
Got me?
going? Yes, I can hear.
Alright.
Alright. What happened
Good.
to your
How are you?
video? Pretty good. Swell, but
stopped
not
it.
swollen.
Swell, but what?
Not swollen.
I haven't heard that
Swell.
one before. That's a good one.
Yeah. I made it up, so.
Swell, but not swollen.
I'm swell, but not swollen. Yeah.
Good. I'll remember that.
So, how's it going?
It's going good.
Mm.
Yeah, things are turning up. Still doing my investing every day, and
Oh, yeah, which reminds me,
I
well, actually got to finally, well, set up a broker account, brokerage account. Yeah, I still have to complete
Good.
that process though. So, and I have to look into it more and more. I have to focus. Need some focus because it's a delicate matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you open it up at?
Interactive brokers, I think.
Okay.
If memory serves me right, yeah.
Does it give you access to the Western stock markets?
Sure, but you know what I found out is it requires like maybe 10,000 of your worth of your liquidity to be able to do these transactions. I think it's in dollars or something. Yeah.
10,000 of like your
Dollars
personal
of
liquidity?
yeah. Or something like that.
Okay.
But you could just put in the numbers and there you go. Like, you don't really actually have to be that liquid, I think, to be able to set up the account.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be a requirement now, because if you're just putting in, say, a few $100s.
Yeah, I mean, like, if for certain like transactions, like because there's different kinds of transactions, not just crypto and stuff. There's futures and
Mm-hmm.
etc. etc. So there's different subcategories or categories that just require different capabilities.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. If you want to do options trading or something like
Mm-hmm,
that, it
mm-hmm,
requires certain extra
mm-hmm.
financial
And
knowledge
some
and
and experience. See there.
yeah.
Mhm.
But all you
So I
really
just put in
need,
the put in what's the minimum requirement for those, and so I could.
yeah, I don't think it'd be a bad thing to just put in whatever is required to open up a basic account. There
Mhm.
shouldn't be any additional risk or legal issues with that.
Mhm. And so we're talking about this openly here because, well, we think people should be getting involved in this, right? Um,
Yeah.
if we're gonna stay in this system, we're gonna play the game well, and be have some leverage, really.
Yeah,
And
that's kind of my philosophy, and we could talk about that today, make it the topic, but I don't mind. I love talking about investments and building wealth and so on, even though it might seem counterintuitive to what our
we're
goals are.
advocating, yeah, but even the
It's
Venus,
actually,
even the Venus project needs invest, yeah, like
it needs
an
funding.
initial investment for.
Yeah, it needs funding, it needs to attract investors, it needs attention, and none of that can happen in the system that we have very easily, at least, without having capital, without having startup money to fund this whole thing.
Yeah, but our ideal goal is really to educate people to the point where they would just really
Mm-hmm.
um, forgo the money part and just band together and start
Yeah,
building without money involved, but as
yeah,
opposed to starting something small like a pilot city or a research center involving tons and tons of money and all that, and still I don't know. But we have to start somewhere, maybe shows people something, and
yeah,
which also seems counterintuitive to the 10As or the core values we have.
yeah. But look at what Jacques and Roxanne did for the Venus Project. They got the center started because they were able to buy land,
Well, yeah.
and they bought it in that particular area because it wasn't expensive. So
Hmm.
everything
Involves
we
money,
do
yeah.
involves money. You have to deal with it. So imagine how many people you could educate around the world
Yeah, if
if
you're
you had
literate.
funding, and
Yes.
you can say you could put ads all over Facebook or on the internet. What if you could buy billboards? What if you could buy advertising
Or
on
if
television?
the likes of Elon Musk start talking about RBE or TVP, and they
Yeah,
start supporting it, and
yep,
that would be a huge step.
yeah. It's just kind of obvious to me that it needs to be funded, and if it's done by volunteers, if it's primarily being pushed by volunteers who have to have jobs
Hmm.
and can only do this a few hours a week, part-time,
Hmm.
it'd be a great benefit if people were well funded enough to where they could dedicate a
Hmm.
full-time
So
job's worth
yeah,
of
so
effort.
actually we're doing this as a kind of a passion project, like as far as I'm concerned, really,
Yeah,
we're 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 spending money out of our pockets, right?
yeah. All of the people who volunteered for years it's a passion project, like you said, that they've spent sometimes considerable amounts of money doing to try to help promote. Like, I've done it, many other people have done it.
Yeah. Well,
Some
I
a lot more than
subscribe
me.
to like the month. I pay for a monthly subscription, and I spend, things like that, little things. Uh,
Yeah.
and well, during the fundraisers that I also spend on, um, I get very little from the donations, which are supposed to be given away to people we're helping, and we try to talk to people any chance we get. I mean, like, not consciously really, when just the occasion arises. And like last night,
Yeah.
I did some, I had some discussion again with the usual suspects, and encounter the same difficulties, and it's normal. And
Yeah.
we learn by doing, so that's what it is.
This is true.
Yeah, and earlier on, I was making just a little update on the ongoing fundraiser that Plus has been doing for a friend and her family, and of course, and also about a friend who just messaged me just before I went online. I mean, I went live with here.
Mm.
She asked me about sense of justice of someone supposedly scientifically inclined, and to my mind, I already talked here while waiting for you. The sense of justice is just a concept that's relevant to the current context and people, and justice, as it were, is not entirely, is not even scientific. So, um, even if we talk about a set of human rights, they're 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 more compass or basis for that. It's not really scientific, and so instead there's just reactions to stimuli. There's neither good nor bad. It boils down to which consequences you wanna you're willing to face, right? You're willing to have for the longest time,
Yeah.
So so we really advocate an overhaul of the system, because this system is just a manifestation of our ignorance of how nature works and human behavior.
Yeah. So it's a snapshot of time on how we evolved our social systems a long time ago, and how it's slowly changing, but fundamentally it's pretty much the same. It's a snapshot.
Yes, it's and people think they're making really good progress, and making, like, putting something new on the table when you have discussions, like, I don't know, about politics and whatnot. But really, when these things are coming from the same kind of mindset, the same kind of worldview, it's really nothing. There's nothing new there on the table, and so these
Yeah.
discussions are. This is why discussions like that are just moot and academic.
Yeah. There's a lot of social lag, and what you notice if you look at it is that science is progressing, and you can tell because of all the technology that we're developing. So you see the technology developing,
So fast, really fast.
but the social system is still staying the same,
The value system.
essentially. Yeah, the values of people, all that stuff is still old. it's aging. But our technology and it's allowed through our science is progressing faster and faster. We're getting artificial intelligence. We're getting the ability to travel to other planets, the internet, healthcare. All this stuff is evolving very fast, relatively throughout history. But we're still basically trading dollars for time.
And
We have employers.
we improve the technology for our survival, which means that survival in the same system of money. So
Yeah.
to compete better, to be faster than the rest, to be more secure, to be more powerful, to be richer, maybe.
Yeah.
So we use that. We improve technology. We use science and along those lines. So the values are skewed and detrimental
Yeah.
because the environment is so detrimental because of the cognitive faculty is just insufficient.
Yeah. I just had to mention I have some water boiling right now for coffee, so I'm gonna have to leave and go grab it and come right back. But
What's that bullet? What's your coffee called again?
I just buy good quality organic coffee.
Oh,
But yeah,
bullet.
the
Was that the other?
style of it was inspired by bulletproof coffee,
Mm,
which is good coffee blended with butter, with no sugar in it.
blended with what?
Butter.
Oh.
But you can add other things too. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like to add sometimes MCT oil, which is oil that's derived from the coconut. There's half and half or heavy cream you can add, just like normal coffee. You can flavor it with cacao, mint, whatever almond milk. You can do it anyway, but the basis is that it's blended with butter for the energy and the healthy fats. A certain type of butter, actually, not just factory farmed butter. It's good butter.
Yeah. So are you gonna go check on it and
Yeah, I'll
make coffee?
do that. I hear my teapot whistling, so I gotta go grab that. It'll be about 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Sorry about that.
Well. Okay. Okay. So, well, of course, we're inviting you guys to join us here on Facebook. I mean, on YouTube, but it would be better if you could join us on the Zoom platform so people could see you on camera. And tell me what your idea of justice is. You know? Let's have some meaningful conversation. Wait. Alright, so we're still waiting for our friend Clifton to get back here with his coffee. And Clifton is the regional coordinator for the Venus Project, Georgia. He's a member of the TVP support group of volunteers. Has been volunteering for the Venus Project for maybe around 10 years now or so.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back. How long have you been a volunteer for TVP? For?
Yeah, about 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Almost.
Mm.
I started actually helping with the Zeitgeist movement back when I was still in Seattle. That was 2009, 2009.
With Sue, right? And how'd you discover Peter Joseph and the Zeitgeist movement?
A coworker of mine showed me the first Zeitgeist film on YouTube.
Oh.
And then some months later, the YouTube algorithm showed me Zeitgeist Addendum.
Oh.
And I watched that, and it was like it was a mind-blowing experience at the time. it made a lot of sense to me. It resonated. It answered a lot of questions about how I felt, but couldn't really answer it myself. And it just showed that there's this whole new idea out there that most people can't even consider because it's outside of their frame of reference.
Sure, yeah.
And
It's always the difficulty, the challenge.
Yeah. And when you get exposed to something and it changes your frame of reference and shows you a different perspective, it can change your whole mind.
Or it matches your frame of reference or your mindset.
Yeah.
It's also awesome.
Yep. That's the power of film and media.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but and whoa,
Cheers.
wow, you got the mug.
Yeah.
Is it on the website? That
Yeah.
is it merchandise? Yeah.
Yep.
But it would not be wise to have it delivered all the way from there to here, you know.
To the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, might get broken or something.
I think it'd be alright. They pack those things in a little box usually, so it'd probably be fine.
With bubble wrap and all that.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to have a mug like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have. It supports them a little bit.
Yeah, but I'll get the book first, the other book, before the mug or anything else.
Yeah. I'll send you a link to it in the chat here. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I was just bringing up a conversation with friends last night about defining terms first, and supposedly in the current context of the society and democracy and all that, there should be a separation of the church and state, and somehow still either parties have an influence on each other, if not tend to encroach on certain things, like I don't know, because what's their moral compass of people in public service, right? And how do they if we talk about human rights, does it need really to have a religious underpinning or leverage, or because I don't know, because I tend to bring up the question of what's your basis for human rights. How do you come up with that? Because obviously the moral basis for religious people or for their behavior is what the scriptures say.
Yeah.
And so we're still on the topic of justice.
Yeah, justice is, I think it's misunderstood by most people. It's not one of my fortes, one of the subjects I talk about a lot, but people have this idea that if they've been wronged, then wronged, that they need to have justice, and it needs to be dealt with in the form of punishment, usually to someone else. And You know, Fresco used to say, whatever happens is real, whatever doesn't happen is not real. Whatever you expect is not real. And if you're disappointed, and it was your expectations that disappointed you, not reality.
Yeah, and like we earlier said, they're only reactions to stimuli. So um, that really nullifies the concept of human rights even. Because, you know, you cannot impose human rights. You just have, um, you know, cause and effect.
Yeah. People are perfectly well adapted to their environment.
So we don't talk about freedom here. There's just no. This freedom connotes something like free will, and you know, there's no. You're not free to move around, move about. You are always being affected by, or pulled, or pushed, or shoved by something else. Like, and that something is also being
Yeah.
acted upon by something. So it all happens simultaneously.
Yeah. So I should probably just state that I don't legally represent the Venus Project. I'm a volunteer, so this appearance may not precisely reflect their views, but when we're talking about justice and these things, people, they reflect their environment, and when something happens, it's because they were acting in a lawful way. So in other words, we don't act randomly, we act lawfully. If we're around people who are a certain way, we tend to adapt to their way of acting. We absorb our values from the country that we live in and our environment, and then that reflects our actions, how we behave. And so this idea of justice is kind of misunderstood because people don't understand human behavior. And I'm not saying I'm an expert at it, but I've considered it and learned a thing or two and studied B.F. Skinner and listened to lectures on it. And this is coming from people who are professors who study it. Robert Sapolsky is another great one that I've listened closely to. I'll put a link of him in the chat if you want to share that.
Yes, please.
He has some great lectures. I posted one not long ago about our best and worst selves, why people act a certain way. Probably find that too and share it. He's an American endocrinologist. It says here's his actual background.
So, did you mention anything about hormones?
Yeah, he does. Talks a lot about it. Just to give his title here from that link, he's an American neuroendocrinology researcher and author. He's currently a professor of biology and professor of neurology and neurological sciences, and by courtesy, neurosurgery at Stanford University. In addition, he is a research associate at the National Museums of Kenya. And he studied, he's well known for his story on studying baboons in Africa. And the learnings he took away from that, which actually apply to what we're talking about.
So I'm sharing the link.
I'll find that lecture as well. It's a very kind of a concise, very intriguing study or presentation. He gives many details on how your environment affects you and how this concept called oh no, it escaped me. Epigenetics affects
Oh
people
yeah.
from a matter of moments ago to a matter of even generations ago. It can affect your behavior. Just a very intriguing speech he gives on, I believe it's a TED Talk.
Is it a long talk? TED Talks usually last for like 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's a 20-minute one or so. Let me look.
Let's have a glimpse of that.
Yeah, it's 15, almost 16 minutes.
I think it will be worth it. Let's share the whole clip.
Yeah, it'd be a perfect one. Sorry, I got sound on here. Pause that. I'll send you the link and then you can share it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll have to wait for ads to play and skip them. Okay. There's the link.
Okay.
It's called The Biology of Our Best and Worst Selves. I've shared this in the discussion groups before because it was so good.
Computer's just a bit slow.
Sure.
Have you met Peter Joseph in person?
Yeah,
Really?
I met him in Vancouver back in
How was
2011,
it?
I believe. Huh?
How was it?
It was good. It was about what I expected. He's a Are you there still? I'm not getting any sound. Oh, we're frozen. Are you back? Hello? Hello. All right. Looks like I'm the host now. Stephen, I think, is having some internet issues and is probably trying to reconnect. So I'll hang tight here and pause my video. Wait for him to come back. Hello. Steven, is that you?
Yeah, I'm back. Hello? Can you
Are
hear
you
me?
alive?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
can you hear me?
you're alive.
Oh yeah. Let me just make some adjustments here. I'm using my phone now because it seems that my mini Mac is hopeless for tonight. Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
I didn't know you had a Mac.
What?
Did you say you have a Mac? A mini Mac?
Mini Mac. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mentioned to you a few times already.
Yeah, you
Just
probably
needs
did.
it just needs what's that reformatting.
Hmm.
Let's see if this works now. Okay, wait. Okay, now we're back.
All right.
Um, how's the audio though?
It's not as good, but I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I can't see YouTube feed here, but hopefully we're doing fine. So what were we talking about before I got disconnected?
We were trying to
Oh, we're
get
trying
the
to
Robert
share.
Sapolsky video
Yeah.
going.
Can you do that instead? I mean, share your screen. Or
I think I can.
yeah.
Um, okay, share screen. Let me get this ready. Okay.
I lost your video feed too. So
Yeah, I'm trying to select the right window.
uh,
In order to play it. Let's see if this is the right one. We'll see if it shows the video. Oh, I have to change my preferences.
mhm.
System preferences. This might take a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going in and trying to change my preferences right now.
Okay.
Except I'm not finding it. Let's see. Look at it again. Oh, there we go. Okay, I won't be able to record the contents until I quit, but I don't need to record anything, right?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Okay. So that's done, and let me try sharing again. Oh, okay, there we go. I found it. Now it displays all the windows I have open, so I can select it. It should be coming up.
Yeah, no, yeah, I can see it now.
I'll go full screen. Do I need to go full screen?
Yeah, yes, please.
How's that?
Perfect.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, this is The Biology of Our Best and Worst Selves by Robert Sapolsky. This is a TED Talk where he speaks about genes, epigenetics, behavior, and how our environment very exquisitely affects our behavior. Are you getting audio?
No, I think there's like I think that's coming off your speakers.
I have speaker audio.
Yeah, it should be internal or something.
We need to play over the screen share though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have to end the screen sharing first, I think. Right.
You have to what?
And the screen sharing. And do it again, and then I think there's a tick box you have to tick for sharing audio. No, like in the.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you see all your screens open to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a
share sound.
Yes.
Yeah, I did check that, but let me try it again. Share sound, optimize for video clip.
For video, yeah.
Okay, now I'm selecting the screen, share. Oh, to share your computer audio, please install the Zoom audio device. Please restart your audio sharing applications such as the media player after install to continue sharing computer sound. Okay. Oh, I just have to allow this. I have to log my password. I think. Okay. I think that did it. Resume share. Okay, do you see it now?
Not yet. I mean, I think.
I'm gonna try it over again.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the settings.
I think my Zoom just.
I'm the host. Uh-oh, I think we lost Stephen again.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
back.
you're back.
Yeah.
I held off on sharing, but I'm gonna hit share now.
Yeah.
And everything was checked. Last I
Okay.
saw. Do you see the YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Let's go full screen there.
Full screen. Play.
How weird human behavior is.
Right.
And how inadequate most of our language trying to explain it.
Okay, there.
So look, Robert spent the last few years thinking about how weird human behavior is and how inadequate most of our language trying to explain it is. I mean, it's very exciting to hear him explain some of the thinking behind it in public for the first time. Over to you now, Robert Sapolsky.
Thank you. The fantasy always runs something like this. I've overpowered his elite guard, burst into his secret bunker with my machine gun ready. He lunges for his Luger. I knock it out of his hand. He lunges for his cyanide pill. I knock that out of his hand. He snarls, comes at me with otherworldly strength. We grapple, we fight. I manage to pin him down and put on handcuffs. Adolf Hitler, I say, I arrest you for crimes against humanity. Here's where the Medal of Honor version of the fantasy ends and the imagery darkens. What would I do if I had Hitler? And it's not hard to imagine once I allow myself. Sever his spine at the neck. Take out his eyes with a blunt instrument. Puncture his eardrums. Cut out his tongue. Leave him alive on a respirator, tube-fed, not able to speak or move or see or hear, just to feel. And then inject him with something cancerous that's going to fester and pustulate until every cell in his body is screaming in agony, until every second feels like an eternity in hell. That's what I would do to Hitler. I've had this fantasy since I was a kid, still do sometimes, and when I do, my heart speeds up. All these plans for the most evil, wicked soul in history. But there's a problem, which is I don't actually believe in souls or evil, and I think wicked belongs in a musical. But there's some people I would like to see killed, but I'm against the death penalty. But I like schlocky, violent movies, but I'm for strict gun control. But then there was a time I was at a laser tag place, and I had such a good time hiding in a corner shooting at people. In other words, I'm your basic confused human when it comes to violence. Now, as a species, we obviously have problems with violence. We use shower heads to deliver poison gas, letters with anthrax, airplanes as weapons, mass rape as a military strategy. We're a miserably violent species. But there's a complication, which is we don't hate violence, we hate the wrong kind. And when it's the right kind, we cheer it on, we hand out medals, we vote for, we mate with, our champions of it. When it's the right kind of violence, we love it. And there's another complication, which is, in addition to us being this miserably violent species, we're also this extraordinarily altruistic, compassionate one. So how do you make sense of the biology of our best behaviors, our worst ones, and all of those ambiguously in between? Now, for starters, what's totally boring is understanding the motoric aspects of the behavior. Your brain tells your spine, tells your muscles to do something or other, and hooray, you've behaved. What's hard is understanding the meaning of the behavior. Because in some settings, pulling a trigger is an appalling act. In others, it's heroically self-sacrificial. In some settings, putting your hand on someone else's is deeply compassionate. In others, it's a deep betrayal. The challenge is to understand the biology of the context of our behaviors. And that's real tough. One thing that's clear, though, is you're not going to get anywhere if you think there's going to be the brain region, or the hormone, or the gene, or the childhood experience, or the evolutionary mechanism that explains everything. Instead, every bit of behavior has multiple levels of causality. Let's look at an example. You have a gun. There's a crisis going on, rioting, violence, people running around. A stranger is running at you in an agitated state. You can't quite tell if the expression is frightened, threatening, angry, holding something that kind of looks like a handgun. You're not sure. The stranger comes running at you and you pull the trigger. And it turns out that thing in this person's hand was a cell phone. So we asked this biological question: what was going on that caused this behavior? What caused this behavior? And this is a multitude of questions. We start, what was going on in your brain 1 second before you pulled that trigger? And this brings us into the realm of a brain region called the amygdala. The amygdala, which is central to violence, central to fear, initiates volleys of cascades that produce pulling of a trigger. What was the level of activity in your amygdala 1 second before? But to understand that, we have to step back a little bit. What was going on in the environment seconds to minutes before that impacted the amygdala? Now, obviously, the sights, the sounds of the rioting, that was pertinent. But in addition, you're more likely to mistake a cell phone for a handgun if that stranger was male and large and of a different race. Furthermore, if you're in pain, if you're hungry, if you're exhausted, your frontal cortex is not going to work as well. Part of the brain whose job it is to get to the amygdala in time saying, are you really sure that's a gun there? But we need to step further back. Now we have to look at hours to days before. And with this, we have entered the realm of hormones. For example, testosterone, where regardless of your sex, if you have elevated testosterone levels in your blood, you're more likely to think a face with a neutral expression is instead looking threatening. Elevated testosterone levels, elevated levels of stress hormones, and your amygdala is going to be more active and your frontal cortex will be more sluggish. Pushing back further, weeks to months before, where's the relevance there? This is the realm of neural plasticity, the fact that your brain can change in response to experience. And if your previous months have been filled with stress and trauma, your amygdala will have enlarged. The neurons will have become more excitable. Your frontal cortex would have atrophied, all relevant to what happens in that 1 second. But we push back even more, back years, back, for example, to your adolescence. Now, the central fact of the adolescent brain is all of it is going full blast except the frontal cortex, which is still half-baked. It doesn't fully mature until you're around 25. And thus, adolescence and early adulthood are the years where environment and experience sculpt your frontal cortex into the version you're going to have as an adult in that critical moment. But pushing back even further back to childhood and fetal life and all the different versions that could come in. Now, obviously, that's the time that your brain is being constructed, and that's important. But in addition, experience during those times produce what are called epigenetic changes. Permanent, in some cases, permanently activating certain genes, turning off others. And as an example of this, if as a fetus you were exposed to a lot of stress hormones from your mother, epigenetics is going to produce your amygdala in adulthood as a more excitable form, and you're going to have elevated stress hormone levels. But pushing even further back to when you were just a fetus, back to when all you were a collection of genes. Now, genes are really important to all of this, but critically, genes don't determine anything because genes work differently in different environments. Key example here, there's a variant of a gene called MAO alpha. And if you have that variant, you are far more likely to commit antisocial violence, if and only if you were abused as a child. Genes and environment interact, and what's happening in that 1 second before you pull that trigger reflects your lifetime of those gene-environment interactions. Now, remarkably enough, we've got to push even further back now, back centuries. What were your ancestors up to? And if, for example, they were nomadic pastoralists, people living in the deserts or grasslands with their herds of camels, cows, goats, odds are they would have invented what's called a culture of honor, filled with warrior classes, retributive violence, clan vendettas, and amazingly, centuries later, that would still be influencing the values with which you were raised. But we've got to push even further back millions of years. Because if we're talking about genes, implicitly, we're now talking about the evolution of genes. And what you see is, for example, patterns across different primate species. Some of them have evolved for extremely low levels of aggression. Others have evolved in the opposite direction. And floating there in between by every measure are humans. Once again, this confused, barely defined species that has all these potentials to go one way or the other. So what has this gotten us to? Basically, what we're seeing here is if you want to understand a behavior, whether it's an appalling one, a wondrous one, or confusedly in between, if you want to understand that, you've got to take into account what happened a second before to a million years before, everything in between. So what can we conclude at this point? Officially, it's complicated. Wow, that's really helpful. It's complicated, and you better be real careful, real cautious before you conclude you know what causes a behavior, especially if it's a behavior you're judging harshly. Now, to me, the single most important point about all of this is one having to do with change. Every bit of biology I have mentioned here can change in different circumstances. For example, ecosystems change. Thousands of years ago, the Sahara was a lush grassland. Cultures change. In the 17th century, the most terrifying people in Europe were the Swedes, rampaging all over the place. This is what the Swedish military does now. They haven't had a war in 200 years. Most importantly, brains change. Neurons grow new processes, circuits disconnect, everything in the brain changes, and out of this come extraordinary examples of human change. First one. This is a man named John Newton, a British theologian who played a central role in the abolition of slavery from the British Empire in the early 1800s. And amazingly, this man spent decades as a younger man as the captain of a slave ship, and then as an investor in slavery, growing rich from this. And then something changed. Something changed in him, something that Newton himself celebrated in the thing that he's most famous for, a hymn that he wrote, Amazing Grace. This is a man named Zenji Abe on the morning of December 6, 1941, about to lead a squadron of Japanese bombers to attack Pearl Harbor. And this is the same man 50 years later to the day hugging a man who survived the attack on the ground. And as an old man, Zenji Abe came to a collection of Pearl Harbor survivors at a ceremony there and in halting English apologized for what he had done as a young man. Now, it doesn't always require decades. Sometimes extraordinary change could happen in just hours. Consider the World War I Christmas truce of 1914. Powers that be had negotiated a brief truce so that soldiers could go out, collect bodies from no man's land in between the trench lines. And soon, British and German soldiers were doing that. And then helping each other carry bodies. And then helping each other dig graves in the frozen ground, and then praying together, and then having Christmas together and exchanging gifts. And by the next day, they were playing soccer together and exchanging addresses so they could meet after the war. That truce kept going until the officers had to arrive and said, we will shoot you unless you go back to trying to kill each other. And all it took here was hours for these men to develop a completely new category of us. All of us in the trenches here on both sides dying for no damn reason, and who was a them? Those faceless powers behind the lines who were using them as pawns. And sometimes change can occur in seconds. Probably the most horrifying event in the Vietnam War was the My Lai massacre. A brigade of American soldiers went into an undefended village full of civilians and killed between 350 and 500 of them. Mass raped women and children, mutilated bodies. It was appalling. It was appalling because it occurred, because the government denied it, because the US government eventually did nothing more than a slap on the wrist, and appalling because it almost certainly was not a singular event. This man, Hugh Thompson, this is the man who stopped the My Lai massacre. He was piloting a helicopter gunship, landed there, got out, and saw American soldiers shooting babies, shooting old women, figured out what was going on, and he then took his helicopter and did something that undid his lifetime of conditioning as to who is an us and who is a them. He landed his helicopter in between some surviving villagers and American soldiers, and he trained his machine guns on his fellow Americans and said, if you don't stop the killing, I will mow you down. Now, these people are no more special than any of us. Same neurons, same neurochemicals, same biology. What we're left with here is this inevitable cliche, those who don't study history are destined to repeat it. What we have here is the opposite of it. Those who don't study the history of extraordinary human change, those who don't study the biology of what can transform us from our worst to our best behaviors, those who don't do this are destined not to be able to repeat these incandescent, magnificent moments. So thank you.
talks that really give you a new mental model about something. Those are some of my favorite TED Talks, and we just got one. Robert, thank you so much for that. Good luck with the book. That was amazing, and we're going to try and get you to come here in person one year. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Nice. I kind of
All right.
remember the last part where he aimed his machine gun. Was it a machine gun at his comrade? Or
Yeah, well, I think it was the machine guns on his helicopter.
yeah. I mean, like, I remember that part. I think I saw this before.
Mhm.
Talk before. I just can't remember when. And so there's just that one bit that I remember. So
Mhm.
wow. Okay, that's a nice educational talk. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're still live on YouTube though.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Well, it says live, actually. Yeah, it says right up there.
Okay. All right. All right. So there you go. Epigenetics, and it's a nice concept. It's fairly new, very novel. Um, although my contention is it's all environment. But
Yeah.
see, that still sheds some light on our misconceptions of human behavior.
Yeah.
Mhm. So there, talking about cliches, and well, the great part is the opposite of the cliche, which is those who do not study study history tend to not repeat these brilliant moments in people that involving people, changing lives, saving lives, changing history, or making history there. So those pivotal moments, so people change, but
Yeah.
also I think um,
Oh.
we just maximize our potential for good or evil under the right or wrong circumstances.
Yeah. The term evil itself is a very
Deeply religious value.
yeah, it's got a lot of baggage associated with it because people grow up with the assumption that there's such a thing as evil, that it's like someone being overtaken by some power,
Yeah,
or they're being
people
corrupted.
invented the other, the other, this other thing, this otherness that's apart from, that's opposed to the good that they represent, or the good that their belief represents. Because they tend to think that our own idea of God is the only true one, or something, the most
Yeah.
legit. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the most horrific events that have happened with people, and you look at the person who did it or the people who did it, they always basically think that what they were doing was not bad, that they were justified, that what they're doing was good, because they have their own rationalization of it.
Yeah.
They have their own way of justifying, no matter what they did, that it was good. They don't want to see themselves as evil, right? Or a bad person. So they say, well, I did it because of this. These people were bad, so I had to kill them.
Yeah. Well,
Or whatever it is. It's just it shows that the human mind has almost no limits to what it can try to rationalize in itself, and it's an egotistical thing.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we just tend to actually maximize our potential for either good or evil under such and such circumstances. So, I mean, whatever the circumstance, it's always environmental.
Yeah.
Mm.
We get our values, and we get our
Yeah.
our
Sorts of influences.
our influences. We get all of our worldviews from our environment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that includes tribalism.
Hmm.
And we have a way of dehumanizing people from another tribe, especially in times of war. And the military knows how to manipulate people to take advantage of that, to get them to do what they want, to achieve their goal.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so they turn the enemy into a non-human thing. They call them animals or whatever they have to.
They're
They
terrorists.
make them, they're terrorists, they're whatever. And then it makes it easy for a soldier to pull the trigger and kill a child that's one of them, because they're not human anymore. And the military has been exploiting that for centuries.
Yeah, I mean, like even when we incarcerate people, because we have a set of rules and standards we believe in. Well, I mean, that's a problem there.
Yep.
I mean, what are our basic needs really, which unites us all? Like, there's no arguing when it comes to that. And everything else is just divisive. So
yeah, it comes down to the fact that we're 99.9% the exact same biologically, and we all have the same basic needs, and we all require the same resources to get those things through individuals or through a country. So the basic needs are the same. We need air, we need water, we need shelter, we need food, we need human relations. It's all the same. It's just that there's a different flavor of culture for all those things. And all nations are divided. We have this division between nations that's purely a construct of our brain. There's no line in nature anywhere. It's our own mind that creates this line, and then that gives us the identity that we have of ourselves, and then an identity of the other people on the other side of the line. And
so it's everything about our upbringing. And
it's how we're raised.
And so more and more people are born into this kind of thinking. So by the minute, and well, it's a humongous task for us to for us to undo that. I mean, it's a Herculean task. So yeah, by the minute we grow in numbers. So yeah, there you go. Just to give people the idea of how difficult it is to attain unity, to transition into a a humane society, a just society, so we're aware of these things. We are aware of the facts, the challenges. It's not easy. We're aware of where other people are coming from, and it's difficult to bridge the gap because, but we try. So yeah, we try. We need more people like us.
Well, we need more people who are educated
Yeah.
and aware of these things, more scientifically literate. That can never be a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay. You're still having coffee after like what, half an hour or more?
Yeah,
Is it still warm or hot?
it is actually, but it's warm because I have a candle warmer. That's this little round thing that
Really?
heats up, and it's like a hot plate,
Oh,
and it fits perfectly. It fits a coffee cup perfectly on top of it, and
wow.
it'll keep your coffee warm for hours.
Because you have like a candle underneath that, right?
No,
What do you use for heating?
let me show you. See that?
Oh, USB. Is that a
It plugs
USB
into the
powered?
wall.
Okay, okay.
It's made for heating scented candles
I
to make them
see.
smell good, but it's the perfect size of a coffee cup, and it
Mhm.
heats the cup just enough to keep it nice and warm.
Nice.
So I make this fancy snobby coffee, and then I sit here and do my work, and I sip it for a couple hours. I don't
Wow.
just drink it. Yeah, 1 cup a day, and I'm good. It gives you
Wow.
energy, gives you the caffeine, the antioxidants, and all that. Coffee is actually a very healthy food
Mhm. Yeah,
that people don't
depends
realize.
on which ones you consume, right? Like,
Yeah.
we got like the 3-in-1 type of coffee. If you know what that means, like you
Mm-mm.
don't need to add sugar to it because everything's there, and just put it
Oh, it's
in
sweetened
hot
and it
water.
has cream.
hmm Something like that. So that's
Yeah.
not really healthy.
Yeah, that's something that's very processed, probably. And of
hmm
course, sugar.
hmm
Sugar is always bad, but people like having convenience.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think people are saying, some of my friends are saying, it's not really sugar that's number one enemy in terms of health. It's sodium. But okay,
I beg to differ.
yeah, I beg to differ too. But if you have monosodium glutamate, it's uh, it's MSG, then maybe,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
more
not good.
sugar than that, you know.
Yeah, I think salt is wrongly defamated. Salt, it can be bad for you, yeah, if you eat too much of it, but salt is a naturally occurring thing. Sugar is not, at
hmm
least table sugar.
hmm
Fructose happens naturally in fruit, and there's natural sugars in food. It's just normal. But when you take it in, you're taking it in with a fruit in its natural form. You're not isolating the sugar from everything else and then crystallizing it and then putting it in your food in an unnatural way,
hmm
or making candy out of it. I mean, it's been very clearly proven
Yeah.
that sugar is extremely unhealthy for you.
In when you eat too much rice and it's converted to sugar, then that's bad.
Yeah, Well, even rice, though, it's not the healthiest thing for you, but people have been eating it for thousands of years and not getting cancer. But somehow in the 20th century, we started getting cancer
Or
really
getting fat
badly.
because of
We're
rice.
getting fat. I mean, people in America are dying more from obesity and overeating and
Because,
just
and
bad
it's also
food.
because the black rice is really expensive, or brown rice or red rice and all those organic types.
Yeah, rice is a staple food. They've been eating it for thousands of years
Yeah.
all over the world. They eat it a lot in not just Asia, but a lot of other countries eat a lot of rice.
Oh.
It's just a grain.
Mm.
It's
Yeah, but we should all go organic.
ideally, yeah.
Yeah. You eat organic food, right?
Yeah, some of it.
Yeah. Good for you. I mean, like, it's hard to come by.
Yeah, I mean, organic food it's kind of tricky because it's more expensive. So it's
Or something. I see that kind of food in, in the grocery where I buy our food. Like, it's really expensive. So
yeah. And it makes sense that it would be better for you because it's not grown with chemicals and other things, and
mhm.
it often tastes better and looks better.
Mm.
But how much it actually affects your health is questionable. It can be argued either way.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is that you're eating food in its natural form. And you're eating a wide variety of fruits, vegetables,
Yeah.
naturally grown meats and eggs,
Yeah.
not
Free
too much
range,
dairy.
um,
Yeah.
meat from free range animals, or poultry, or
Yeah. One of the healthiest meats you can eat is something you hunted and killed yourself. Wild
yeah,
game is the healthiest meat,
like
you know,
meat of snakes or, or rabbits. Or
whatever it is. You're eating whatever they ate and they lived in a natural way. You're eating them in their natural form.
Mhm.
I don't buy into this idea that things have to be plant-based,
Mm.
but the way
As long as
we
it's organic, like animal organic,
just eat food in its natural form
hmm
and stuff that's been raised and grown in the most natural way possible. That I think is what determines how healthy food is more than anything.
Yeah.
And we've just been misled so much about diet,
Well,
especially
because
in our country.
we need to move fast in a fast-paced society, in this rat race. So everything needs to be speedy, sped up, easy, convenient.
Yeah.
So, and everything has to be grown fast, like the chickens in factories, in chicken in farms, how do you call it, in barns and whatever.
Factory feedlot farming.
Yeah, or cows
Yeah.
or whatever in those. So they feed those
Yeah.
animals whatever for them to grow too fast and and fat and
Yep.
very unnatural. Well, okay, I guess we're down to our last 4 minutes here, and as usual, we're
All right.
gonna pick a page off the
Oh yeah.
the future.
Sure. Is anyone watching that wants to pick a number, or is it just you and I? still?
I think we're just there. Yeah, there's just the two of us now. But one of my friends from the TVP Philippines community, he referred to two new friends who'd like to maybe join us one of these days. I just need to reach out to them, talk to them a bit, and invite them over. So yeah, we'll see next week.
All right.
So we'll be back to the Wednesday programming next week.
Oh, also, I need to let you know that I will be going back to work.
Next week?
So, no, I believe it'll be in September.
Oh, that's just a few months
So,
away.
yeah, so I won't be able to make this time now, but I'm glad that I will be back with a regular income
Mhm.
and won't have to worry about that anymore until I can support myself with my investing ventures.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward though to talking to you more about investing too, to get you going on that, because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's
The earlier we do it, the better.
yeah, just let me know when you get your account set up and ready. And
Mhm. Sure. Yeah.
you know, I don't know how much you already know about investing, but I've been studying it extensively this whole year, and I'm an experienced at it, even though I'm not a professional investor or financial advisor. I could probably give you some good info on where to start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, just need time for somebody to really learn it, learn the ropes there. And
Yeah,
since I don't have that time, I just uh listen to whatever you can share. I mean,
yeah, I'd be glad to help. I like helping people out, and this is one of the most fundamental useful ways to do that in this monetary world we live in. You know, everything revolves around money, so if you don't have that taken care of in your life, it's real hard to be what you want to be,
makes
because
sense.
money will enslave you if you don't control it.
Oh yeah, but yeah, we should be very careful with that.
Yeah,
So the more we clamor for that kind of security, we crave money. It comes with a price, not just its own price. It's the other kind of price, relationships and all.
yeah, it controls every aspect of our lives. You know, it controls your time, it controls
Mhm.
your stress levels, it
Sure,
controls your choices, it controls everything if
but
you let it.
sadly, money makes people happy. Sadly.
It's, well, like Jacques says, it's not money that people need, it's access to
Sure,
resources.
sure. But
And if
it
you don't have access to those
affords us, it
resources,
affords us the access.
yeah, it just gives you access to things. That's it.
Yeah. But if we could skip the money part, then all the better for us. Uh,
One day maybe we'll arrive
fun,
at that level, but it's gonna
not in
take a
our life,
while.
not in our lifetime.
I would be
Okay.
glad but surprised if it happens in our lifetime. But
Mm.
the quicker we can get there, and the faster I can help that change, the better. You know, and really it just comes down to education. That's the
Mhm.
gap we have that we have to cross over, is people are uneducated about science and nature and what's possible in the world, and they're preoccupied with money in their lives because it controls them.
Mhm.
And what we're trying to do is cure that problem, and it's hard to do it ourselves without any money, because how are you going to get your word out?
Mhm.
You can reach
Exactly.
a limited amount of people, you can talk to your friends and people you run across, but are you really reaching the masses that way? Without funding, it's hard to reach the masses, if not impossible.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's why the Cambridge Analytica really clicked.
Yeah, that was a big debacle.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, let's see what's on page Hmm, 171.
171. Okay, this is a short one. The whole idea of the future is to stop putting up little cities and buildings, but to work on a whole system.
A whole system. See, that's the difference between Fresco and all of these other guys. No matter
Yeah.
how mentally able they are, Fresco can approach things in a systems kind of way because he understands the world the way he understood it, but specifically the world in a mechanistic way. If you don't have that mindset, if you don't understand the world that way, then it's just, but still you're a well-meaning person. You could tell people to plant trees and everything, care about other people, but the execution of that, coming up with a solution that's really holistic would be impossible for someone who hasn't really understand the world in that manner yet. So
Yeah.
this approach just manifests from the that kind of understanding of the world or nature.
Yeah. He's just saying in there that his ideas are not summarized by, dome buildings in a circular city. That wouldn't work in changing the world. You could put the same people of today with the same values in the greatest cities you can imagine, and we're going to have the same exact problems. If their education level is the same and their values don't change, we'll just have the same problems, but in a nicer city.
The mindset is the same, hence the same values, the same actions. Their motivation is the same because they cannot, like, what's really your basis for your thoughts, your actions, your behavior. That's it. Meaning ultimately, how do you understand the world? See, that's it. The ultimate question.
Yeah. And he's one of the few intellectual people who understood that society is a dynamic system that's got thousands of interacting parts.
Yes.
And at the center of that is human behavior. And if you don't understand human behavior, it doesn't matter what kind of city or technology you develop, you don't understand how it all interacts.
Yeah.
And you won't solve problems.
Yes, because there's a lot of people in the profession of, behaviorism, maybe, or psychology or psychiatry, but if they belong to the same mode of thinking, the mode of understanding the world, then they cannot really offer anything new or approach things holistically. So Fresco's emphasis on human behaviors is only because there's not a lot of attention there.
Yeah, he saw the whole picture in terms of individuals, culture, values, cities, technology, transportation, all of that. He saw it all as a holistic system, and not just parts. And he looked at the social system.
Not just the human behavior part, really, but because he's coming from a mechanistic point of view, then all of this makes sense. And human behaviorism like that cannot make sense to a person who doesn't understand the world mechanistically. None of this, the things he's saying will make sense if that part, the mechanistic nature of nature, is not understood.
Yeah. People are reflections of their environment, and so is society as a whole. And
Yeah.
you have to educate people to understand that. They have to know about how nature works, about the scientific method,
Yes.
and apply.
There's always the physical basis or reference, and which is
Yeah.
the mechanistic universe.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nothing
wherever
is self-motivated. It's all driven by other things
acted upon
interacting
by
with
other
it.
things, at the same time,
Yeah.
all at the same time though. But we have to emphasize that because we tend to think linearly. That's our upbringing. We tend to think that events happen in a certain sequence, like linear sequence, when in fact they're all happening all together at the same time. So yeah, one of those things that we should also emphasize or bring up every so often. So it's been great having you, talking to you again.
Yeah.
We got an
Good to
erratic
have you.
schedule, but yeah, hopefully. But we have to really make adjustments every now and then, schedule wise, because
Yeah.
my days have now become Thursday, Friday. So yeah, I need to adjust too. So maybe.
Yeah.
But
Just
I'm up for the live stream in the evenings here, so any day would do, I think, except for second Friday and fourth Friday. That's for
yeah.
actual fundraisers. So,
Yeah. I can make time in the evenings too once I start going back to work. Just let me know
well,
when, and
evenings, but that would mean mornings for me, right?
yeah, that's what I was wondering is
Maybe
what time would work for both of us.
Thursday or Friday morning,
It might have
whichever.
to be an evening for me on the weekend,
Yeah.
in the morning for
Oh,
you.
not in the evening, in the weekdays for you.
No, I could do it during the weekday as well, as long
Yeah.
as it's in the evening, late
Yes.
enough.
Okay then. Yeah. All right. Okay,
All right.
so folks, we thank you for
Live long
viewing
and prosper.
viewing this on replay. So live long and prosper. Enjoy your life. Have a nice life.
Have a
We'll
nice
see you
life.
next time.
All right. We extension you all.
The extension, y'all.
Bye, Stephen.
Always. Bye.